love, okay, Council President, do you know the name of the person that penned that letter?
I do not.
Okay, I would like to find out the name of the person that penned that letter, because that is a very significant, and I'll tell you why.
Same.
If it was
I like
the
this
mayor,
guy.
if it was Bill Strasburg in between his term, I guess it could be inferred, even though not legal, that he was the elected mayor in November 4th, and he was trying to take some type of action. Whether right or wrong, he was trying to take some action. If it was not Mr. Strasburg and it was someone else, and like Dwayne said, we have someone impersonating someone on behalf of the city, as a council member, I'd like to know that.
That's a crime.
I,
Crime
Mr.
statute.
Commissioner, I know where you're going with this, but there's no comments by the public.
Hello, this is Dwayne Whitmer with Actonel Media. Today's investigation and story takes us to the City of Tonawanda in Erie County, New York. In November of 2025, an election for City of Tonawanda City Judge was held, with Dean Lilac defeating S. Michael Rua. At the time, the current city judge was not running for re-election. Dean Lilac was the part-time judge running for the full-time judgeship, and S. Michael Rua was a previous City of Tonawanda attorney looking to get the endorsement to run for this election. One thing to note on this is in New York State, judges don't have to run on the party they're registered as, and both Dean Lilac and Mr. Rua are both enrolled Democrats. This may come into play in later videos, it may not. It's an interesting fact to point out that while Mr. Rua was running on the Republican and conservative lines, he is a registered Democrat. During this time, William Strasburg, the former police chief, beat the incumbent Mayor White for a term that begins in January of 2026. In this same election, there was 2 new council members that were elected also for terms that begin in January of 2026. Here is where the investigation, the story, and the problem gets interesting. Now, the part-time judge ran for the full-time judgeship, leaving a vacancy where Dean Lilac was the part-time judge. The board is allowed to appoint someone once they're in session to that part-time judge position. The state law regarding city courts says that you have to choose someone from your city. There is a residency requirement for city judges. Now, the town can petition the assembly to pass a bill to give them a temporary reprieve so they can look for an outside city judge if necessary. At some point after the election, but before January and the new term for the new sitting council members, somebody claiming to represent the city of Tonawanda reached out to their assemblyman, William Conrad, and got him to sponsor this bill. This causes 2 major issues. Number 1, this bill states there were no qualified candidates or interested candidates for the position. That is incorrect. A woman by the name of Anna Jost had applied for the part-time judgeship. This same woman also sought the endorsement for the November election but was denied. The question becomes, who contacted Assemblyman Conrad's office allegedly pretending to represent the city of Tonawanda to get him to sponsor this bill? A follow-up question is, who authorized him to do it? Because if you watch the City of Tonawanda's minutes, their council has authorized nobody to approach Assemblyman Conrad. At some point, someone must have reached out back to Assemblyman Conrad's office because his office reached out to the state assembly to pull this bill from a vote. So someone must have corrected it, issued it. We don't know. We don't know what happened. Who is contacting the assemblyman's office pretending to represent the city of Tonawanda? This is a fraudulent representation by somebody. A second question that comes out of this is, why was the only applicant at the time ignored? When something like this happens, you know we got to start showing up in person and asking questions. Here are clips from their last board meeting held this week.
Hey guys, my name is Dwayne Whitmer. I represent a company called Act Now Media, an independent journalist that we investigate government. As you saw in the working session, there's a lot of jobs and money at stake, and we want to make sure things are being done properly. Something was sent to me that you guys tried to pass a resolution with Assemblyman Conrad to make your deputy clerk.
Are you commenting on a resolution that
Yes.
the council is voting on?
Yes.
Can you point me to the resolution that
Yeah,
we're
I'll
voting?
get there, yes. So you guys want to appoint a deputy judge, and the qualifications are to be a lawyer in your town and be here for 5 years, and you're going to Congress to have laws changed so you can export this. And to my understanding that you have qualified people, as you mentioned in the working session, that you have gotten resumes and applicants and you're going to review them. My question is, who sent the email to Conrad's office that represented that they're a part of city government when they're not? Is there going to be an investigation? Can I get copies of those communications? And is that going to be looked into? Because I think it shows bad leadership that someone is pretending to represent you guys that doesn't. Furthermore, what's being done if you campaigned on transparency, better communication, and residency requirements? Why are you outsourcing in your first meeting looking to outsource a position? I think that reneges on campaign promises. And lastly, what's being done to fix this going forward? I would say that as a taxpayer in the city of Tonawanda, am I allowed to send Assemblyman Conrad a resolution saying, I don't feel that there's qualified elected officials in the city of Tonawanda, therefore I want to send my taxes somewhere else? No, they'd say follow the law. And my recommendation to you guys is to also do that. Please follow the law, and please do your jobs properly. Thank you.
All right, thank you for comments, sir. Just to answer one of your questions over there, you would submit a FOIL request
Yes.
to FOIL any
Yep.
appropriate documentation relative to this resolution. Any other comments or questions on the resolution?
Is it the time to comment on this Daniels letter or not? What?
Mr. Clerk, we have a comment on the floor.
All right. I'll just say that I actually did submit to put this on the agenda. I thought I had more time. Before the council is a letter from Assemblyman, and by the way, Anna Jost. I actually submitted a letter of intent and resume over a month ago for the part-time judgeship position that was put on the agenda on December 2nd. I discovered on December 23rd that a bill had been put to Assemblyman Conrad 89391, which stated as follows: Tonawanda has a limited pool of attorneys from which to draw a potential city court judge. The part-time position is unable to be filled currently by a resident of Tonawanda. That was a libelous statement. I have practiced law for 25 years and have lived in this city 25 years. The statute says that you have to practice law 5 years and live in the city. I sent a letter along with my request to be on the agenda. I'm going to read it to you. Greetings. Previously, I publicly filed a letter of intent and resume regarding the part-time judgeship with the city clerk and the office of the mayor, and it was also submitted to the Democratic chair. That letter and resume were put on the public agenda for the council. I attended the last council meeting, and nothing was mentioned about the judgeship nor any intent to seek a candidate outside of the city of Tonawanda. On or about December 23rd, I discovered that a bill regarding the part-time judgeship had been filed by Assemblyman Conrad on December 19th, seeking to be permitted to get a part-time judge who was not a resident. The bill was submitted to him without informing him that a letter of intent and resume had been filed for the position. It was also filed by a person who falsely represented that they were city government. That's not the word of Mr. Conrad. Okay? And when they were in fact had no authority to act for the city or act in a unilateral and non-transparent or surreptitious basis. Okay? Any council members have to act as a whole. Additionally, the bill contained language that is libelous and defamatory. It was stated that the position was unable to be filed by a resident of Tonawanda. Every attorney who lives in this city who has practiced 5 years or more and has applied has been libeled and defamed in their trade and profession. One can only surmise it from such a statement that despite meeting statutory qualifications, they found mine deficient. The law only requires that one be an attorney of 5 years that resides in the city of Tonawanda. I years. Assemblyman Conrad is stricken the bill. I oppose and object to any effort by our officials to seek another bill to obtain a part-time judge outside of the city of Tonawanda. The statements made by the mayor during his debate that he wanted police and fire positions to be filled by residents due to the need to be close in an emergency are likewise true for judges. If there's an emergency requiring a judge late at night or in the middle of the night, it makes sense that that judge is only a few blocks away. I also want to address the fact that I was not contacted before this bill was submitted. Both as an applicant and as a constituent in this city, I expect my local leaders to consider me first, not seek out to put out bills to help pad their own political piggy bank.
Ms. Jost, your 3 minutes is up.
All right, so if anybody wants to actually see this justification bill again, I oppose any effort, and I will say that I do feel libeled.
Thank you for your comments.
Thank you.
Any other comments?
Katz, last council meeting, I asked the council president for an answer on whether or not you made an erroneous 911 call or our police chief failed to take police action. You said you weren't prepared to answer at that time. I now, 2 weeks later, ask you for an answer on that again.
Thank you, Mr. Fisher. Are those your comments?
I got more. Thank you for your follow-up. Act Now Media. Dwayne?
Yeah, hi.
So here's what I'm catching here.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask for more answers from the public. You're about to get yelled at by,
Yeah, there's no comments by the public.
so you got to watch that.
Oh, shoot, my bad.
But I'll ask and you can answer if you want to shout it out for me. So now, you stated there was a letter pretending that came from a city representative. It was outsourced, if I wrote your words. And then Ms. Jost just said the letter that Bill Conrad was from not a city representative. And then you followed up to say the council acts as a whole if we were to contact Bill Conrad. Does anybody know who wrote that letter? Is there a signature on it? What's the
There's
name?
no comments by the public.
Someone please tell me the name.
There's no comments by the public.
I'm gonna comment real fast, we're gonna fill it because we don't know, but we're gonna investigate for that,
There's
so.
no comments by the
I
public.
think
Do you know the name?
investigation
Ms.
should
Jost,
be
do you know the
done.
name of the person that
There's
wrote
no
that letter?
comments by the public.
What's she going to do? Throw you out of the building?
I respect
She might-
the chair of the council.
There's no comments
I would
by
love,
the public.
okay, Council President, do you know the name of the person that penned that letter?
I do not.
Okay, I would like to find out the name of the person that penned that letter, because that is a very significant, and I'll tell you why.
Same.
If it was
I
the
like this
mayor,
guy.
if it was Bill Strasburg in between his term, I guess it could be inferred, even though not legal, that he was the elected mayor in November 4th, and he was trying to take some type of action. Whether right or wrong, he was trying to take some action. If it was not Mr. Strasburg and it was someone else, and like Dwayne said, we have someone impersonating someone on behalf of the city, as a council member, I'd like to know that.
That's a crime,
I,
and crime is
Mr.
bad.
Fisher, I know where you're going with this, but there's no comments by the public.
So if there's someone out there impersonating being a city official, just don't come to a council meeting during the public hearing portion because you will not be able to make a comment. Like, is that what we're telling people? If we know the answer, let's get the answer out there.
I don't know if anybody knows the answer.
Does anybody here know the answer?
I'm gonna find out, but I have.
Do you know the
And
answer?
there's no comments by the public.
We ask a question and then tell them they can't comment on it. Like, this is the circus you run. I have nothing further. Go move to the next person.
Thank you, Mr. Fisher.
Afterwards, we were able to sit down with the applicant and ask her thoughts on this whole ordeal.
Right. So I'm attorney Anna Jones.
Yes.
I'm a resident of the city of Tonawanda for 25 years.
Yes.
I will practice law for 25 years this month.
Yes.
In November, I submitted a letter of intent to seek appointment for the part-time judgeship. Attached was my resume. That was formally submitted, and it was received by this council and put on their agenda on December 2nd. The entire month of December went by, and I would have excused that considering the new mayor had not yet officially sworn his oath. However, much to my surprise, I discovered on December 23rd, that bill number A9391 had been submitted to Assemblyman Conrad, and the salient language was that Tonawanda has a limited pool of attorneys from which to draw a potential city court judge. The part-time position is unable to be filled currently by a resident of Tonawanda. Given its proximity, this bill allows applicants from both Erie and Niagara counties. So that was completely false. That was defamatory and libelous. It was making a false statement, inferring that since I met the statutory criteria.
Which are the
and,
criteria is what? Practicing in 5 years?
5 years or more and being a resident of the city.
25 is greater than 5.
Absolutely, and I have extensive experience, both at the appellate level. I have an extensive appellate record. I have an extensive record of practicing before the Erie County Supreme Court. I have experience with the town of Wales, doing everything from RFPs and zoning board and planning board, and I even won an Article 78 for freedom of information law. So by no
We like
means,
that.
shape, or form am I not qualified. The only thing I will say, though, is that the entire history of Tonawanda, I'm informed that only one female has ever been endorsed or at least elected or appointed to the judgeship. I discovered the bill. I contacted Mr. Conrad's office, and I am very pleased with their office. They immediately pulled the bill as fast as they could. So they struck the bill, and had I not done that, not taken that action, that bill would have sat there ready to go. As soon as the new mayor took his oath, he could have easily appointed somebody before I even knew what happened. So I put a stop to that. Now that being said, my taking this action is essentially now enabled another person in the city to benefit off of my work, and now has apparently put a letter in the last couple weeks. And so I don't really know if all of this diligent work, which I think actually shows my skill, is going to benefit me at all. But what's important is the transparency of government. I will say that the campaign was based upon residents in the police and fire should live here due to emergencies, as well as we should be creating an influx of money in our community. If I've lived here 25 years and paid taxes here 25 years and my money's not good enough, why the heck would anybody move here? And frankly, we do have a constituency of, I would assume, about half female. Why do we even send kids to school and girls to school to say you can rise when an attorney of 25 years can't seem to get anywhere? This is not England. We do not have a passing, by descent here. And I also feel that discussions were had in order for this bill to be presented, none of which included me.
Yeah, discussions would have to be had because that's what the bill got presented. Real fast, what does the part-time judge do? What would your roles be? Give a couple sentences on what you're doing.
I mean, the judge would have to do what every judge, which is supposed to do, which is to be independent, impartial, fair, regardless of anybody's politics. I understand that becoming appointed judge is inherently a political process because you're being appointed by a mayor, and they are part of political parties. I don't necessarily agree that judges should have to be endorsed by lay people. I'm not sure that's the right way, but that's the way it is. But what I don't appreciate is having my resume reviewed by a lay person, or even worse, by my own opponents when I went through the campaign process to try to get endorsed. That's not proper either. Everybody was spoken to except for me. Now that being said, the current mayor, the now mayor, has agreed to set up an interview with me, but I still felt I needed to go through with this because this is an issue of the government thinking that they're like a private restaurant who calls candidates and decides they're not calling them back. No, I'm sorry. You work for the taxpayers. I am your constituent. I at least deserve a phone call before a bill is presented that defamatorily and libelously implies that I don't exist.
Now, what kind of cases would you hear in this court?
Well, I mean, they're mostly traffic violations. There may be some felonies that get arraigned in the court, then they will be remanded over. They also have a youth court and drug court, and I have to say honestly, back when I went to law school, I always wanted to be a judge. I had a very difficult path to college. I'm the first woman in my family, on my mother's side, to even make it to college, the first in my father's side of the family to go to college and complete. I'm the first lawyer in my family. I actually began my college career with a child. I spent 2 years taking a bus, taking my child in a diaper bag, doing my work in a computer lab. I graduated with a 3.98 and 5 scholarships to UB, and I am the only person at UB at the time who had been both an EOP and honors student. And I completed my bachelor's degree in business administration with a Bachelor of Science, and then I
Oh, I'm sorry.
was accepted to both the MBA program and law school. So I graduated from UB Law School. And after that, I had an extensive appellate practice. I served over 8 counties for the Appellate Division 4th Department, and that it also included being an attorney for the children. So I definitely feel that my story of perseverance through hardship can help bring hope to the children in front of me who maybe have gotten into trouble and need some guidance from the court. A court is also a means to educate. Yes, a court is there to follow procedure and rule fairly and see the person in front of them, because that person's life is in your hands. Just like when you go to a doctor and you have your physical life in their hands, well, what a judge do makes a difference between somebody's life or not. And it should not be a position that somebody is doing to be a social climber. It is something that comes from the heart. And I definitely feel that I can do that. I don't have to do that. It's something I want to do.
Understood. Thank you. Anything else that you want to throw in? I'm out of questions.
Nothing else?
Could I ask a question?
Yes.
Yes.
Have you argued cases at the state's highest court?
Yes, I have. I have appeared not only before the Appellate Division 4th Department, the Appellate Division 2nd Department, I also was granted leave by Justice Peuquet to go to the Court of Appeals. I found a conflict in between departments, and yes, I granted leave. That is a very rare thing. Not many cases are granted leave, and they have to be very meritorious.
How many other attorneys in the city of Tonawanda have ever argued at the Court of Appeals?
I actually don't know that information.
I'll bet it's 0.
Yeah, I don't have that. I got a question.
How many women judges have there been in the city of Tonawanda?
One, right?
Not while I was alive.
She pictures back on the wall.
Yeah, and I'm 55. Never in the time that I've lived here since 1999.
Auditing Erie County. I'm sorry. Auditing
Yeah.
Erie County.
When were you born?
1970.
She
Now, you've heard from me, you've seen the council have conflict, and you've heard from the applicant, but the question still remains. Who contacted Assemblyman Conrad's office and convinced him to sponsor a bill to change New York State judiciary law? Another problem arises. As you saw in the video, I was told that I can foil the communication in the city of Tonawanda. Since the communication did not come from someone in the city of Tonawanda, no FOIL can be completed there. Secondarily, the State Assembly and Senate came together and made a rule, or a proclamation, if you will, that Assembly and Senate members are not subject to FOIL. Therefore, I cannot compel Assemblyman Conrad's office to work with me. Here's where I need your help. Contact Assemblyman Conrad's office, whether it's through email or phone call or his website, and ask him who contacted him pretending to be from the city of Tonawanda. Let's get this information out. This is a breaking and developing story, so more videos will follow. Let me know in the comments if you want me to ask anyone anything, if you want me to foil anything, and let me know when you want to hear about parts 2 and 3. My goal is to go to Assemblyman Conrad's office and try to talk to someone there as soon as next week. If you want to see follow-up videos, hit that subscribe button and you will be alerted when future videos come out. Thank you for watching. Thank you for tuning in. And let me know if you have any leads on government corruption, malfeasance, or general shitbaggery. Thank you.